Hello everyone, in today's video, we will explore a dramatic and touching story. A police officer's ex-lover tried to make him look bad in front of his wife. Despite being faced with lies and suspicions, the wife still decided to trust her husband. Why did she do that? Let's watch to understand more about trust and love in this challenging situation. Sinnhat sat next to Hang's stepchild, looking into his innocent, curious eyes. A moment of silence passed before she wrote on a piece of paper, "I know he is not my biological child, but I will take care of him and love him like a biological mother." Those words moved Hang, his eyes lit up with happiness. Sinnhat opened his heart, not only accepting the boy but also determined to become the mother the child deserved. The village scene was still covered in morning dew when Hang and Sinnhat left the house together. They had decided to go out to prepare for the corn-picking job today. Hang, the quiet husband, picked up old wooden boards and, together with his wife, brought them to the vacant lot, which would become the corn drying area. Sinnhat, the always gentle and thoughtful wife, helped her husband spread out the wooden boards, creating a temporary corn drying area. The two worked in harmony, without having to say much but still feeling the harmony in each gesture. Sinnhat looked at her husband. Her eyes were not only full of love, but also a strong belief in her partner. The two were not in a hurry, but together they did everything simply but completely. They were not only working, but also building warm moments together. No matter how hard it was, they always felt happy to be together, sharing everything in life. Suddenly, from afar, there were light footsteps. Then the shadow of a woman appeared on the small path leading to them. It was Sinnhat's mother. She walked from the village to visit her daughter. Sinnhat looked up, saw his mother walking towards him. Suddenly a gentle smile appeared on her lips. Hang quickly stood up, smiling and welcoming. "Hello mom, why are you here so early?" Sinnhat's mother walked closer, her eyes worried but also full of love. She looked at her daughter, her eyes filled with tenderness. "I heard you've been working hard these past few days. I came to visit you, see if you're okay." Sinnhat smiled gently, walking to her mother. "I'm fine, don't worry. Everything's fine." While Sinnhat's mother and the couple were chatting, at home, Hang's own son was diligently doing housework. The boy, with small but strong hands, was sweeping the yard, his steps diligently walking back and forth, a hoe and shovel in his hand. Although he was just a child, the boy did not hesitate to do the chores around the house, from picking up firewood to sweeping the tables and chairs. Outside, Sinnhat's mother saw her daughter working hard and immediately started working. Her attentive gaze and skillful hands folded the sheets and spread them out on the ground, making the corn drying area neater and more convenient. Sinnhat and Hang watched her work, both surprised and touched. When the work was done, the three of them returned to Hang's house, but Sinnhat's mother was in no hurry to rest. She walked out to the garden, quickly picking water spinach and green mustard to make soup for lunch. Sinnhat and Hang watched, touched by their mother's diligence. Although tired, she still wanted to prepare meals for the family herself, creating a warm, friendly atmosphere. The atmosphere suddenly became tense when Hyan, the biological mother of Hang's son, was standing on the path. Walking quickly, Hyan's footsteps seemed not to falter. Even though she was full of anxiety, the whole path was deserted, only Hyan's footsteps echoed. As a sign of the upcoming meeting, she took a deep breath, then continued walking towards Hang's house, where she knew everything would have to change. Hyan stood silently behind the pillar. Hyan suddenly called out, "Hello Hang, it's me again." Hang turned around, her eyes dark, her face black. "What are you doing here again?" Hyun didn't wait for an invitation, quickly walked upstairs, sat down on the chair next to Hang. Her eyes couldn't hide the strange confidence, as if she was familiar with everything here. "I miss my child. I just want to visit him," Hyan said, her tone not shy at all. Sitting next to Hang, her eyes were still full of confidence, as if nothing had changed. She did not feel awkward or afraid, on the contrary. Hyan's face exuded a challenge, as if she had every right to be here. Hang was silent for a moment, her hands clenched, her eyes looking straight at Hyan, unable to hide her discomfort. "You want to see my child? Or is there something you want to say?" Hang's voice was low, containing tension. Hyan smiled slightly, leaned back in her chair, then turned to look at Hang. I just want to see my child for a bit, it's nothing serious. It's been a long time, I just want to see him again, she said in a sweet voice, but her eyes shone with calculation, as if she was looking for an opportunity. The whole space became silent, only the sound of breathing in the room. Hang began to feel uncomfortable, but she tried to stay calm. You have no right to enter my house like this, Hang replied, her voice firm, trying to keep her distance. But Hyan didn't care. I'm just visiting, Hang, after all we're old friends, aren't we? Hyan smiled again. But that smile couldn't hide her determination. The atmosphere in the house became increasingly tense. Sinnhat didn't say anything more, but her heart was filled with questions. Why did Hyan come here? Was she really just visiting her son like she said, or was there another purpose she was hiding? Although Sinnhat tried to keep a calm face, her heart was a little disturbed. She looked at Hyan, then turned to Hang, her eyes filled with worry. Hyan spoke, her tone a bit sarcastic. It seems like you still don't have good news, still haven't given birth to a child? Hyan's words were like a knife stabbing Sinnhat's heart. She paused, her eyes suddenly becoming distant. The years of waiting, the hopes. The nights she sat alone in the dark and prayed for a child, everything seemed to come flooding. Back in that moment, she didn't expect Hyan to say those words with such a cold and contemptuous attitude. She tried to suppress her emotions, but the pain in her eyes could be clearly seen. The child she had always longed for, the words of encouragement from Hang. All of them could not erase the sadness she carried in her heart. Hang looked at Sinnhat, clearly seeing the hurt in her eyes, and immediately comforted her. Don't let her hurt you, Hang said, her voice low but full of warmth. We will have children. Don't worry. Hyan's eyes were cold, her voice even but full of sarcasm. Actually, I admire you, Sinnhat. You can't give birth but you're still willing to be a stepmother. And you even take care of someone else's child like your own. You're truly rare intolerance. She smiled, but that smile didn't carry any goodwill. But you should also know your limits. If you can't give birth, can't keep your bloodline, how can you keep your husband for long? Hyan still did not stop there. This time it was no longer gentle sarcasm, but harsh, naked words. Oh, and this? She narrowed her eyes, looking straight at Sinnhat. You are a strange wife. You are both dumb and stupid, and yet obedient and patient. No wonder people look down on you. The atmosphere in the house immediately became heavy and suffocating. Sinnhat froze. His eyes were shocked, as if he could not believe that the words had just been uttered. Always following behind, silent as a wooden statue, no different from a shadow in the house. A wife who does not know how to protect her husband, does not know how to speak out. Is it worth living like that? Hyan said, her tone full of contempt. If it were me, I would not let myself become a redundant person like you. Sinnhat could no longer endure and used sign language to chase Hyan away. At that moment, Sinnhat's mother, holding a bunch of vegetables still wet with dew, slowly returned home. She stopped when she saw a stranger walking out of her house. Her face was slightly surprised, then frowned. She asked, her voice clear and somewhat serious, oh, who is it? Hang walked out, her face still annoyed. Quickly replied, it's Hyan, she just arrived. Hearing that name, Sinnhat's mother was stunned. She immediately turned to Hyan. Her eyes became cold and full of vigilance. Hyan, what are you doing here? She asked directly. Her voice no longer warm, but very clearly harsh. Huyen tried to stay calm. I just came to visit you. I didn't mean anything. Sinnhat's mother frowned, looked at Hyan from head to toe, then spoke directly without beating around the bush. This house doesn't lack people visiting you. If you come to cause trouble, then it's best not to come back. They live peacefully together. Don't interfere. Hyan's face was not embarrassed at all. She looked at Hing as if nothing had happened. And Hing, Hyan said loudly, her voice sweet but full of pressure. Come to your mother's house and live with me. I will be a good and obedient wife. Without waiting for Hing to answer, Hyan calmly reached out and pulled on his sleeve, acting brazenly as if she still had some rights over the man in front of her. Sinnhat's mother saw this and immediately spoke harshly. What are you doing? This house belongs to the couple, not a place for you to drag anyone you want. Hang pulled her hand back. Her eyes cold. Hyan, I've made it clear, I live here. With my family, don't make trouble anymore. Her eyes quickly glanced at Sinnhat, full of challenge, but this time, Hang was no longer soft-hearted. He snapped at Hyan with a resolute voice. I don't need to be responsible for you at all. And from now on, don't drag me into your business anymore. Hyan still refused to stop. Despite being flatly rejected, she grabbed Nying's hand again, this time holding it tighter, her voice higher, almost pleading and coercive. And Hing, come with me to your mother's house to live. The house there is big and spacious. Here's both cramped and hot. Those words were like a knife stabbing straight into Sinnhat's heart. She stood still, but her eyes were wet. Hang saw that. Her face immediately turned cold. She jerked her hand away from Hyan. Her voice stern, shut up. Don't drag my wife into your nonsense anymore. I told you, between you and me, it ended a long time ago. But Hyan still didn't let go. She rushed forward, this time almost hugging Hang's hand. Her face distorted with anger and despair. You're living with a woman who can't have children. Don't you find it funny? While you and I had a child together, where the atmosphere was now as tense as a bowstring, Hyan was still standing there, her eyes filled with resentment, refusing to leave. Sinnhat's mother stepped forward. Her voice cold. I've had enough of you. You have no right to appear in this house anymore. Go away. Sinnhat's mother looked serious, pointing straight at the gate. Get out of here now, before I call the villagers to witness the scene of you shamelessly following another man's husband. Having been pushed to the limit, Hyan clenched her fists, tossed her hair, glared one last time, then turned and walked away. The sound of her heels clicking on the ground, as if dragging along both anger and defeat. As soon as she left the door, her eyes were filled with hatred. She muttered through her teeth, her voice full of anger, I will come back here, as long as I have not won back Hang. Sinnhat will not dream of living peacefully and happily with him. As soon as Hyan left, Hang walked over, gently comforting her wife, placing her hand on her shoulder, her voice warm. Don't be sad anymore. I'm sorry for making you hear such words. But you have to believe me, my heart only has you. Only you, Sinnhat. Sinnhat nodded slightly, trying to smile, but her eyes still held a sadness that was hard to hide. She remained silent, saying nothing, just leaning lightly on her husband's shoulder. Hang squeezed her hand gently, her eyes determined, no matter what happens. You are the one I choose to spend the rest of my life with. Don't let anyone make you doubt that. The gentle wind blew, carrying away the worries that still lingered in her heart. But that warm handshake gave Sinnhat a little more faith, even though her heart was still not at peace. Hang turned to look at her mother-in-law. Her eyes were quiet but full of worry. He felt guilty towards everyone. He apologized to his mother. I'm sorry, Mom, for letting you witness such bad things. It's my fault for letting my ex come and cause trouble, affecting my wife and you. Sinnhat's mother didn't say anything right away, just looked at Hang with sad eyes, then nodded slightly. Hang's voice was firm. Don't worry, Mom. I will protect my wife and children, protect this family to the end. No one can interfere anymore. Sinnhat's mother sighed softly, her eyes softening. As long as you understand that, I believe you. The three of them stood on the porch, the afternoon wind blowing, bringing with it the calm after the storm, like a silent promise that everything would be peaceful again. A peaceful afternoon in the highlands. The sun began to lean towards the mountains. The sunlight dyed the entire hillside golden. White clouds drifted lazily across the clear blue sky, and forest birds occasionally sang loudly as if calling the season. Sinnhat wore a hat, shouldering a grass cutter. Her mother carried her grandchild to the field. She smiled at her daughter. This afternoon, we will cut the grass early. Tomorrow we will have time to clean the field and pick corn, right? Sinnhat nodded, her face brighter than the previous days. She smiled softly and said softly, ***, yes, Mom, wait for me to eat sugarcane and then I will do it right away. He slung the machine over her shoulder, her hand firmly holding the cutting stick, and walked step by step towards the lush grass field. The blade spun rapidly, the grass flew up in layers, revealing the clean ground below. Sinnhat's face shone with concentration, sweat beaded, but her eyes were bright and determined. Her mother stood nearby, holding a grass broom. gathering up the finished cuttings while occasionally looking back at her daughter. Smiling slightly, "Very good, my daughter is no less than anyone now." The sound of the grass cutting machine blended with the sound of the wind and the light laughter in the fields, as if signaling the arrival of a new season, a season of revival, strength, and peace.